Hello everybody, my name's James. Welcome to the Planet FPL Gameweek 5 Deadline stream in partnership with FPL Team. And it's live. We are circa 55 minutes away from the Gameweek 5 Deadline. And over the next 55 minutes or so, I'll be trying to answer as many of your FPL dilemmas as possible ahead of the 11 a.m. UK time deadline. Before I get into the questions, let's just take you through graphics. To the left of me, you'll see my correct score predictions for the 10 games this weekend. I don't think there's any huge shocks amongst those particular predictions. Captaincy will spin round there as well in a moment. Salah over Haaland over Watkins, the top three for me. Right at the bottom of the screen, you'll see the current flags in FPL and upcoming next 5 fixtures for all 20 teams. The benching dilemmas is above that, where there's 2 players together. The preferred option is the player with the tick. A running order, pages 1 to 4, going left to right. And you will find goalkeepers on page 5 there. Bottom right hand corner, you'll see my predicted lineups for all 20 teams this week. That will rotate as well. And in the top right hand corner, you will see my team as per my tweet in the middle of the night on Twitter. 2 free transfers made. Solanke and Vardy in for Muniz and Isak. I will be lining up this week. Raya in goal. Back 3 of Porro, Alexander-Arnold, Robertson. Midfield 4, Bumo, Palmer, Jota and Rogers up front. Captain Watkins, Vice Captain Solanke, Jamie Vardy. On the bench, Fabianski, Saka, Fass, Nedeljkovic. Hell will probably have to freeze over for me not to buy the third Arsenal player for game week 6. The preference as it stands would be Robertson to Gabriel. But something might come up whereby it becomes a differential Arsenal midfielder for me. If Watkins was to get injured this week, or even Solanke, there's every chance I'd be buying Havertz. But there's every chance I'm just going to go really early on Gabriel. Is a possibility for me this week. Right, that's the graphics covered. Good luck, everyone. Play it your way. Let's get into the cues. The first one of which I can't see. I'll remove my pinned message for the start. Let's everybody read the pinned message, by the way. Ian PTSD says, morning, James. Hope you and the family are well. Got 1 free transfer on wildcard next week. Should I move Saka to Son now and get back after deadline, or address Pedro? Isak can't get to Watkins in one move. Excuse me. My instinct is that Pedro will start. I have no ITK. It's just me coming to my own conclusions. I've got Isak probably as a sub at the moment, but there's every chance he'll play. It does sound like, according to Craig Hope at the Daily Mail, he seemed to think that Isak would travel. Make of that what you will, but part of that as well was, he hasn't really trained this week. So I do think there's a chance there that he's a sub, possibly. Again, no ITK on that. So it does feel like that probably wants dealing with. Would I dive in for Son for 1 week? Probably not on what I've seen so far this season, but for the 1 week, it's not a terrible option. I mean, even the Everton game, I didn't overly impress, but he returned big, right, with the 2 goals to 16 points. So I don't mind that as a 1 weeker. If you're going to go Isak, Isak to Solanke. Isak to Solanke as a 1 weeker almost feels a bit better, but I realise, Dom hasn't even scored yet, so I get that side of it as well. You don't want to look at Saka at City, I get that. What happens if neither Isak or Pedro make it? What does that look like? No, I don't know. Deal with your biggest problems first. That it might not be, but it might be Isak. It might also be Pedro. But I think if you're going to go for a 1 week punt for a forward, you probably prefer to go for Solanke rather than some of the ones that are around about Pedro's price. That's my guess. I think Isak Solanke for me, mate. JP says, hi James, start 2 out of Gabriel, Robinson, Davis. This would be much easier, JP, if you just wrote start 1 or bench 1 even. Bench 1, Gabriel, Robinson, Davis. Close. I would play Gabriel if you don't own Haaland. I would throw that as a caveat. If you don't, then if you don't own Haaland, I'd start Gabriel and probably bench Davis. If you own Haaland, I'd probably bench Gabriel. Ryan Max says, morning, Planet FPL and James. We are one of the same, but thank you. Jay Parker says, good morning, James. On wildcard this week with the intention of bringing back Raya next week. Is Kelleher the best 1 week goalkeeper punt? Keep up the amazing work. Boing, boing. What if Allison plays, mate? It's a 1 week punt and you want to go for the goalkeeper. I'll just leave Raya, mate. The thing is, like, if Arsenal go there and win 1-0, it's every chance he walks away with a 9 or 10 pointer, mate. Is it that improbable? I don't think it is. If I was doing it for a 1 week punt, I wouldn't be doing it on a goalkeeper, mate. I get you don't want to look at it. I get that. You don't want to look at players away to Man City. I get that. That's not the 1 week punt I'd be doing, though. Luke Stevenson says, hi, James. Cheers for the content this week. Likely going to wildcard next week. Currently starting Isak and benching Havertz. Would remove Isak for a 1 week punt on Vardy or save the transfer. When I wildcarded in game week 3, I took a 1 week punt for Muniz. Now listen, he ended up having 7 shots against Leicester, but ultimately didn't score and didn't overly look like scoring amongst those chances. I regretted it. That doesn't mean that you'll necessarily be in the position that you do. Probably leave it, I think. And if Havertz plays, Havertz plays. John says, morning, James. Should I bench Rodgers or Havertz? Thanks. Ooh, I mean, look, I've picked Rodgers over Saka this week, so I'm going to say Rodgers, and I think, therefore. JP says, Davis or Greaves? Depends how you're asking it. If it's just to start one of the two, if you've got both, Davis. Personally, I don't know if there's enough there at the moment to make a case to pay the 0.5 extra for a player that you're often going to bench, I think. If you're getting him in, if the player's being brought in as a starter, then sure, go for Davis, mate. CM Punk 2310 says, morning, James. Have Jota and Muniz. Both rotation risks, in my opinion. 0.1 in the bank, 1 free transfer, plan to wildcard 6. Shall I remove one of them? If yes, then whom and whom for? So the thing with Jota being a rotation risk, yeah, you're absolutely right. But if Jota doesn't start, he'll still come on, won't he? So that's not going to make a change or a dent there, if you will. You know, he could start and be a 1-pointer, as kind of seen last week, right? So I think it's still with the Muniz problem. I think I'm sure if you have to come down in value, the one there, as per the previous question, although I said don't do it, if you're looking for it there, and it goes for the person who asked before as well, Vardy for me under that circumstance would be the preference. The GG says, hi James, would you go Isak to Havertz this week or roll and do it next? Bench not great, but we'll have 11. No, I probably wouldn't commit to it, actually. I'd more be taking the chance that Isak played. Every chance that Isak will do well if he starts today. Let's be clear about that. Demetrius G says, going for Sade over Boomer in Game Week 6 allows me to also get Havertz rather than the 6 million forward. No brainer. Well, I guess we'll analyse that on Monday. I'll get a good look at Kevin Sade today, right? Pranaya Sharma says, hi James, sell Muniz or João Pedro this week, wildcarding next week. If so, who to get? 2 million in the bank. Hall and Winks on the bench. 2 million in the bank. I mean, Muniz to Solanke for me then, mate. All day. James Lovegrove says, morning James, totally agree about how much better non-Haaland teams look. It's making the game more fun too. Look, play it your way quite clearly. I said yesterday that if I committed to making the 2 free transfers, I was probably cutting myself out of Haaland. It's not necessarily true, having looked at things last night, but yeah, I think I'm highly likely to continue to take him on now. And I don't mean the next 2 weeks, I mean 7, 8, 9, 10. That's the plan. It's probably backfire massively, but that's what the intention is at this moment, and I won't sit here and say, oh, I'm not going to do that. Like, that would be like foolish, wouldn't it? But yeah, the intention for me, as it would stand right now, is to continue to take Haaland on, not permanently, but let's say for the foreseeable. Vivek Gore says, start Mikalenko or Robinson. Mikalenko, I would be very surprised if he didn't play. He's had an illness problem, but he's been back in training for a couple of days, as far as I'm aware. Could Everton go to Leicester and win 1-0? Yeah, definitely. Could Fulham beat Newcastle 1-0? Yeah, definitely. I think slight preference with Robinson. John says, good luck this week, mate. Start Flecken or Henderson. Cheers. Probably Henderson by virtue of home fixture. Gavin Richardson says, "Hey babes, been a while, hey, babes. Home, many more SJP losses will it take for you and your dad to stop going? Oh, St James's Park losses. Away there, lads. We are flattering to the sea. I mean, I've only been to the last two. It's not that many. We're getting closer, right? But this, as it stands, Gavin, on the path we're on, the trajectory, we should probably draw there next season and probably win the season after. So I'm going to keep going, mate. I love it up at the team, mate. It's a great away day. Matt Bryant says, hello, mate. Tom on a -4 for Isak. Torn on a -4 for Isak to Watkins. Likely but not certain to wildcard next week. What's your view? Owen, smash like people, cost nothing. For -4, no. No, I think I'd be surprised if there's many -4s with the 1 weekers that I'm going to say yes to. I think it essentially probably would, those who want to get Salah in as part of a -4 and captain him this week are probably going to get thumbs up. Otherwise, those looking for the 1 week stuff, no. On my take on Watkins, I don't think he matches his return from last week. I'll put the armband on him. Do I back him to score? Yeah. I mean, if you offered me the 8 points or so now on Watkins this week, I'd quite gladly take that, actually. I don't think he hauls this week. I don't think there'd be many popular players who haul this week. I think Salah's the best shout. I don't particularly think he hauls either. But for the -4 to put the armband on Mo, yeah, I get that. Otherwise, can't see me giving it a yes for a -4s for 1 weekers, Matt. Mustafa Gaming says, morning James, no FPL question here, just want to talk a bit about the time around Klinsmann transfer to Spurs. Cheers, have a great weekend. I presume you'll mean the first time. Yeah, I mean, it was extraordinary. It really was. Found out by teletext. That's how bloody long ago it was. My dad was having a shave at the time, nearly sliced his face open. He thought I was taking the piss. I had to drag him downstairs in the middle of his shave to show him that Tottenham had signed Jurgen Klinsmann because he just thought I was on a wind-up. Because back in those days, it wasn't like, oh, Tottenham being linked with da-da-da-da. It was like on teletext headline, Tottenham signed Klinsmann. What? You didn't have the internet then to go and clarify. It's like, is this real? Like, if someone hacked teletext, we wouldn't have thought of that sort of thing at the time. So it was incredible. And he was a wonderful centre forward, Jurgen Klinsmann. He didn't have a weakness. That's the best thing I could say about him. He didn't have a weakness. He was quick, good right foot, good left foot, good finisher, good in the air, good link player. He wasn't like the best in the world at anything, but he was really good at everything. Outstanding centre forward that first season. Was blessed to have him for that year. Sean says, morning James, non-FPLs, I'm rolling in wildcarding, heading down to London from Manchester shortly. Any recommendations for a good boozer near London Bridge before I head to Selhurst Park? Specifically no, but there are a number round there, and the time of day you're going, you'll be fine. I couldn't tell you the names of them, to be honest. It's not my part of the city, mate, but there are plenty around London Bridge. You will find something decent round there. Who's next? Demetrius G says, if we get news that Nkunku starts today, who are you benching out of Nkunku, Rodgers or Saka? Saka. Honestly, yeah. I mean, you're not going to get that news. I don't see any reason why Nicholas Jackson wouldn't start. But yeah, should we get that news and it is obviously the early kickoff, then yeah, Saka from that. If not, then I think Rodgers has got to be benched. Interesting stat for you, Nkunku. All of his goals for Chelsea so far have been as a substitute. For the benefit of our patrons obviously watching along, if there is anything specific we hear on team news, please drop me a tag on Slack and we'll obviously get it shared on the stream. Please double check sources. It wouldn't be that unlikely for someone to try and bogus claim something like Cole Palmer not starting today, so please double check your sources. Ryan Mack says, currently have 2 Arsenal assets in Ray and Havertz. We'll look to bring in Saka in Gameweek 6. Do you see any value in selling Havertz this week and buying Gabriel in 6? It's costing you an extra transfer is the biggest thing against that, Ryan. So I think, look, if that's the path that you're on and have chosen, I'd probably stick to it. And yes, priority for me would be Saka. Owen Charney says, good morning, James. Thanks again for another great week at shows. You're very welcome, Owen. Have a good weekend. As the Bankies wins, says James, if the personnel is the problem, is Ange not responsible? He signs off transfers. What would it take for you to lose faith in him? Would you take a swap deal with Celtic for Rodgers? I mean, that almost sums it up in one. How's Brendan Rodgers benefiting so much from how good Celtic are in Scotland at the moment? Oh, gee, I wonder who put that in place. Listen, if the players look like they stopped playing for him, and on Wednesday night I saw some signs that suggested there were some players who were just not at it, but I don't think there was a lack of effort there actually. If the players look like they stopped trying for him in exactly the same way that the players stopped playing for Maurizio Pochettino, then you have to change. You are wasting time if players do not believe in the manager anymore. I do not believe that's to be the case. If you'd have said to me in the summer that Maurizio Pochettino would be in a position after the Champions League final, that you'd be saying to me, I'd almost be in agreement if he was dismissed 4 months later, I would have said, send me to the loony bin, mate. But 4 months later, those players were not playing for him anymore. So if the players stop playing for the manager, yeah, it goes. That's what it takes, mate. That's what it will take. Is he responsible for some of the signings? Yeah, of course, mate, yeah. James Maddison was outstanding for 10 games, has not played as well since. It was very good when he came on the other night, by the way. Johnson's young, it's not worked. Can't judge Odegaard yet. Way too young. The investment's been on young players. Tottenham are trying to future-proof their future, looking at a long-term strategy, not just sacking their manager because they have a bad run of results. Honestly, it would take something catastrophic for the football club to move away from him, and that will only be the players throwing in the towel. Honestly, there's no chance of it unless the players stop playing for him. Mayank says Vardiol to Trent or roll and play Hall. Vardiol to Trent or roll and play Hall. What's taking your time? Yeah, I'm gonna get Trent in, mate. Morning, James. Good luck. This is from Matthew Sutherland. Good luck this week. Thanks for the great content. You're very welcome. Thank you, Matthew. Sam says, morning, James. Would you start Emil Smith Rowe or Morgan Gibbs White? Also, thoughts on TAA captain as I don't have Salah. Bournemouth at home doesn't feel quite right, does it? But I'd certainly extend to the idea that he's quite an open week for captaincy if you are looking at the alternatives. Don't hate it. He's not made my top 10 this week, and he did last week, even though I thought they'd concede. Pretty sure he did. I'm going to go no on that front for Trent personally, but if you really fancy it, you crack on. Smith Rowe versus Morgan Gibbs White. I'd go with Smith Rowe with a home fixture, mate. Gavin Richardson says, smash that like button, you absolute darlings. I don't know about darlings, but 20% or so of you smash the like, it's appreciated. The other 80% of you hit that thumb. Eddie says, morning, mate. Which two of Minter, Pedro, and Madueke would you start? Which two of Minter, Pedro? I mean, I'd start the Brighton players, frankly, and it'll be what it be. Decky or Brennan Johnson for... Mind you, I got Madueke above Minter on a bench in dilemmas. I guess that's the threat to Minter's plays. No, yeah, I would probably bench Minter from that, actually. And Decky or Brennan for 1 week pump for wildcard. Someone asked me this yesterday, and I kind of said Decky, just in a better moment. I think you feel better about it. Highly likely to get 90 minutes. I'd be pretty confident Brennan Johnson does start today as well. Johnson very capable of the return. Let me sell it to you like this. Kulusevski more likely to blank of the two. Kulusevski more likely to get you a really good return of the two. So if it was me, I think I'd be going Kulusevski personally. Uros Milicevic says, hello, James. Who'd start out of Munoz, Robinson and Harwood Bellis? The two attacking fullbacks, despite my Southampton prediction this week, which I guess most people won't agree with anyway. Mark Wright says, morning, James. Start Pedro or Minter, Pedro. FPL Sponge already have Saka, Gabriel and Watkins. A, Salah and Vardy in this week, wildcard 6, or B, free transfers next week for Raya, Bumo and Solanke and save the wildcard. Solanke and what saved the wildcard. I don't know how I can answer that, brother, because I can't see the rest of your team. I'll save your wild card. Who's the other 12 players like in your team, mate? I can't really answer it. I think for most, wild card next week is going to be really popular, and I'm not going to give people a good reason not to do it. Let's sell it that way. Wolfie says Captain Trent or Watkins. What's not likely? 2 goals, Watkins versus clean sheet. Trent. Cheers, James. Watkins. That's clear for me, really. JP says struggling for a captain. What do you think out of Jota and Palmer? Toss a coin. Palmer gets the nod out of clarity that he'll start. as far as I'm concerned. Milan Rizavi says, hey James, play 2 of Nedeljkovic, Colwell, Greaves or Robinson. Robinson and Greaves are your 2 best attacking threats on that. I'd be surprised if Nedeljkovic played. I've got Bogard in my predicted Villa lineup. I wouldn't be surprised if it's Concert right back and Carlos plays. So I'd be pretty surprised at this moment if Nedeljkovic started for Aston Villa, actually. Chris K says, good morning, James. Hope you are well. Thoughts this morning are Isak and Gordon to Bumo and Ketcher. Benching Smith Rowe. 2 free transfers leaves money in the bank for Jota to Saka next week. Or roll 1 more week. I wouldn't force Gordon to Bumo this week. I mean, if Isak don't play, Gordon probably plays centre forward. Gordon was much better at Wolves last week, so I wouldn't force Gordon to Bumo this week. If you want to restructure your team as part of what you're doing and go Isak to Nketiah, I'm fine with that. Elron Cupboard says, do you think Rico Lewis is in City's best 11? I think he plays tomorrow. I think Pep, given it I think it will be a very similar game to last season. Was him subliminally telling me that Lewis will play and do something different. The question is laced for like, oh, is he nailed going forward? Like, basically, fuck knows, mate. Like, honestly. At the moment, the answer, I think, is probably yes. But the last I saw in a Premier League game was him getting taken off at half-time in a half that Manchester City really struggled. So, I mean, none of us know, mate. Petty92 says, morning James, bit of a general question, but do you think punting transfers into a wildcard is a waste with the new rules? Using the transfer for 1 week feels like you won't get value from it. Like, I think it depends, right? So the example would be, right, say Muniz, right? We'll just use this as an example. I went Muniz, game week 2, before wildcard, sitting there with Solanke injured, trying to work out the value of if that was worth it on the transfer. Now, I regretted it because I ended up sticking with him for future weeks. And I think psychologically I did that partly because I purchased him in 2 with an overnight price of value increase that I got off him at the time as well, which has protected me until I sold him here. So I haven't lost any value on the player. But had he scored that week, it was worth it. What would we might have been looking at a 9-pointer. So 9-pointer 1 week, value of transfer. How do you weight that? What's the value of a transfer? What do you need in terms of returns of a week? Well, arguably just a return, actually, for the 1 week probably makes the transfer arguably worthwhile, I think. So, unfortunately, there's going to be a massive influence on that based on outcome, unfortunately. So, I think it also depends who you're buying. If you want to be aggressive and attack, say, a Vardy or a Solanke, the sort of players that I've gone for, who I don't think go off this week, but maybe have the capability to do so on a given 1 week punt. And you can make the case that the 2 have difficult away fixtures next week, for example. I'm in a position where I can bench Vardy next week. Then go for it. Go for it. If you're kind of mucking about with like different ones, I'm going to take 1 week punt on Wood away to Brighton. So it depends what you're attacking, doesn't it? J. Lord Broski says, should I pull the wildcard 1 week early as I have KDB, Pedro and probably Jota not playing, as well as 3 none playing bench? Yes, I've had a shit show start to FPL this year. I think Pedro plays. I've still got Jota in my predicted Liverpool lineup. Who's the other player you mentioned? KDB. I've left in my predicted City lineup as well, following Pep's comments yesterday. So, might well play, mate. So, for me, it's a no. Gavin Townsend says, morning James, would you start João Pedro or Semenyo? João Pedro, I think, would be a starter. He won't be involved. I think he'll start. Uros Milosevic says, is Haaland worth a 1 week sell to Watkins? I'm not advising that to anyone. Ayub Seller says, Vardy is my cap. Wish me luck. Good luck. Yvette says, good morning James. Play Semenyo, Hudson-Odoi or Harwood Bellis. Got Trent, Tar. Yeah, I get it. So you don't be conflicted by Semenyo. Otherwise, my answer would be Semenyo. I'm not convinced Hudson-Odoi starts despite the goal as a sub at Anfield last week. I think I'd tell you what, I'll sell this to you. With Trent every week, you got 2 chances every week: attacking return, defensive return. Right. And my take on playing Bumo this week over Saka is twofold. One, I think Bumo actually this week is more likely to return. 2, he's going up against Porro though, and you'll know, those who listen to me for a long time know I like an all-in strategy. But every week I look at Porro, I think he's in for the offensive stuff. So I don't mind the all-in strategy. So an example of that would be, let's say you had Konate instead of Trent there. I'd be more inclined to say you don't go Semenyo, although I'd arguably say just play Semenyo over Konate maybe under that circumstance. So I think of it, the reality here is Semenyo is the best choice of the 3 players, and it's not impossible that Semenyo and Trent both return for you, right? So I'll be going Semenyo. Dana J says, what are your thoughts on João Pedro and Minter? Keep them this week or move out? And if move out, then for who? And you don't know who, then meh. Personally, if I had João Pedro, it's tough. It's easier said than done for me because I didn't have them, right? If I was moving off Minter right now, I'd be going to Chado. So I look at that this week and think, can I wait a week and gather a bit more information? Yeah, probably. I think if it was Pedro, based on the decision I've made here moving on Muniz, I'd be going Vardy. So weigh those things up and see how you feel, mate. My instinct on that is just to hold them, I think. But also, there's going to be an influence on that, on what your bench is, particularly say if João Pedro doesn't make it. Gaz MC says, morning James, captain the Robot or Watkins feels like a good opportunity to take him on. If I was sitting there with Haaland this week, I'd be captaining him unless I was also sitting there with Mo Salah. Geezer is just in too much form. There's a difference between me sitting here and saying, I've got a strategy, I want to take him on, and saying, I don't want to captain him. Listen, if I had this fellow at the moment with the form he's in, I think it's even close to say whether I'd captain Salah over him this week, despite how absolutely brilliant Arsenal are defensively. So unless it's Salah, Haaland for the armband for me this week. What if the game is different? What if it does have goals? What if it's 3-2 or something like that? Go off, mate. So no, Haaland captain for me. FPL Gold. Sorry, I've missed one out. I'll come on to yours in a second, mate. Jody Pegler says, morning, James. Would you sell Minter for McNeil? I was wondering when someone's going to mention Dwight McNeil, as he's on the face of the thumb. Or roll and carry 3 free transfers in next week. Thanks and good luck. It's close enough there that I'd be just carrying with Minter for the minute, personally. Because this time next week as well, you might feel like that answer is Sade, really. FPL Gold says, morning, James. Who would you play out of Greaves, Powell, Torres, or Rico Lewis? It's between Lewis and Torres, that. Based on my predictions, Lewis. I also think I'll throw this into the bargain on Lewis as well. Remember, City played Tuesday in the Carabao. I think there's a good chance that Pep will try and play the same 11 for as long as he can tomorrow. And whoever's a sub, there's a possibility they might not get on. It's not to say that they won't, but I think with Lewis as well, there's a chance that if he doesn't play, you won't see him. In fact, I'd say if he's not in the team, it almost becomes a likelihood that he doesn't get on. So I'd be playing Lewis, I think. FPL Golds, that's what I've just done. FPL Ibrahim, morning James, good luck this game, and to you. Pedro, Smith Rowe, Rogers, DCL, who to bench? Out of that lot, very reluctantly, Emil Smith Rowe. Hillbilly says, hey James, what chances would you give for Lewis to start sub on, not feature? Kind of just covered. Trying to decide if I start Greaves over him, but I think I pretty much just answered your question, mate. FPL Haddery says, good morning, start 2, Lewis, Robinson, Muniz, Pedro, Semenyo. At the moment, I'd have to deem it unlikely that Muniz starts. From that lot, it's a tough call. I'd probably go Lewis and Pedro as it stands. Yeah. Would I go Lewis over Semenyo? No. Maybe not. No. Semenyo and Pedro, I think. Gavin Richardson says, been advising a mate for his works league. He texts me 30 minutes before deadline, never goes early, never takes a -4 and he's 20 points ahead. There's a lesson there. Don't overplay. Overplaying can work as well. There's always two sides of a narrative. Jack Martin says, good morning, James. With the changes to transfers, I feel like rolling a transfer into a wildcard is much more valuable than using the transfer on DCL Vardy as a 1 week punt. Thoughts, have a great week. Yeah, I'm going to skip that. Jack's kind of covered, but if that's how you feel, then absolutely advice would be you roll, mate. Ryan Mack would like everyone to hit the like. Thank you, Ryan. Yes, please do so, kids. About 25% of you, 30% of you have done so. It's very much appreciated, guys. Thank you. Henriette says, good morning, James. Who's a bench from Lewis Robinson off Fass? It's Fass, right? Have a great weekend. Yeah, just about. I think I'd still be picking like a Gabriel over a Fast this week. So, yeah. I backed Everton to score, though, so I might be naive. Dana J says, what are your thoughts on a Trent Cat? I've done that, mate. Florentine P says, hi, James. Muniz to Vardy or play João Pedro and roll, playing wildcard next week. There's two sides to this. I'm kind of inclined to say play João Pedro and roll, but Muniz needs dealing with, mate. And unless you've got a plan in place that would be moving Muniz up to Solanke, Isak, Havertz next week, for example, probably not Isak next week. Let's say Solanke, unless you're moving like Muniz to say Solanke or Havertz. In fact, even Solanke it's now, isn't it? Unless your plan is Muniz to Havertz next week, I'd be just binning Muniz now, I think, is the right answer. John says, do you think Kwanzaa has a chance to start him, mate? Does he have a chance? Yeah, of course, absolutely. Do I think he does? No. I think the key point on that is that the game on Tuesday for Liverpool, which I watched in Milan, became extremely straightforward. It's so easy for them. So I think that helps for Kanate. Jamie Williams says, hi, James. Bench 2 of Vardy, Robinson, Porro, Fass, Greaves. It ain't Pedro, mate. I can assure you of that. Porro and Vardy would be the first two I'd play, and then I think I'd go Robinson over the other two. Lewis Hughes says play Greaves over Rico Lewis. Thoughts, kind of just covered this. It's also answered via the benching dilemmas. I would go with Rico Lewis. Eddie says surely Mikey Moore would be a better option off the bench than Werner, who has been awful in my opinion. Don't understand why I re-signed Werner, especially as then signed Odeberg. Needed first team quality winger. Preferred right-sided. So here's the interesting. I don't know why we signed Odeberg. So what if he wants to play Kulusevski in a central position? What are we down to now? Son left, Johnson right, and Werner being the backup. That's what we're down to. So, like, how much stronger was it if we had Odeberg as well? Like, well, there's the other body. Werner, I was convinced, was signed in on loan to buffer the development of Mikey Moore rather than signing a player. And we can all look at that in hindsight. And I would agree. What I've seen of Timo Werner so far this season, I think, nah. You had a little bit of an impact at the start. The problem with Timo is, like, if you look short of confidence, it really shows. Would I rather Mikey Moore played? Yeah, I'd rather we just work towards the future at this stage. But is Mikey Moore truly ready? You seen Mikey Moore play, like, men's football much? You haven't. It's like the crowd. I was obviously in the away on Wednesday night booing Bergvall getting taken off. Come on, have some intelligence, right? I've been saying this for weeks. He hasn't played more than 45 minutes for the first team, even in friendlies. He got to an hour on Wednesday night. Enough. Had to come off. Wasn't involved in that 15 minutes at the start of the second half. So it's all right to look at it on the eye. And I agree with you as a substitute impact. Yes, I agree with you. But he wouldn't be ready to start for the team at the moment, Mikey. And anybody who's been listening to me, particularly back in the last season, knows what I think about his potential development. He's not ready yet. Greg Williams says play Rodgers or DCL. Ooh. I think a DCL. Yeah, I've been inclined to go with a forward there. That's normally my solution on these. FPL Red says Isak to Watkins and Vardy to Porro for free. Yes or no? Yes for me. Yeah. Porro was a really surprising one going up in price last night. I don't know if much of the prediction sites had that. When I saw that swim, it was a surprising one. I wasn't even close. Andy Max says, hi mate, probably on your benching dilemmas, but wanted to ask if not, start one of Fast, Robinson or Rico Lewis, you'll find them all there, mate. Dave M says, have Haaland, start Gabriel or Greaves. Cheers, James, and good luck this game. So I get that. This one's a little bit different to kind of the Trent one, even though Gabriel is obviously the big threat from set plays. He won't get the attacking returns that Trent gets in a season. Well, you wouldn't think anyway. And obviously City defending corners is very different to Tottenham defending corners, so you also have to factor that in. City are a tall team as well, right? So I think on that one, yeah, I could understand the playing Greaves. Anor Matthew Scott says, who to bench for Haaland? Okay. Smith Rowe, Rogers, Bumo, Mitoma, Welbeck, DCL. Do I risk benching Haaland? James, you laughed at me and he got a 2-pointer. Yeah, I don't care if he returns or blanks, mate. Like, we can do the outcome stuff, but please don't bench him, mate. From that lot, with reluctance, it's probably Rogers. He probably is, yeah. Vishnu said, start Sells or Henderson, considering I'm starting Aina too. Don't ever judge it that way, mate. Split my returns. Nah, go all in, mate. Again, slight preference for Henderson with home fixture. Shivam says, have 3 Arsenal and Haaland, and Isak and DCL. Doubts. Very confident DCL plays, I think. No Salah though. We'll lose a lot of ground if he bangs, I reckon. Should I free hit? Please discuss pros and cons. The biggest one, quite simply, mate, is to think you'll get a lot more use for that chip later in the season. I really do. It'll be more useful for you later on than just avoiding 2 good teams playing each other, because the 3 Arsenal players you've got, okay, maybe not ideal, but there's every chance you'll get returns from them, right? Also, when you look at the fixtures this week, what you free hitting into? What? Treble Liverpool? Yeah, sure. Treble Villa? Is it treble Tottenham? Bit of Brighton? Isn't that near enough other than Tottenham the teams that people were wildcarding into last week quite a bit? No, mate. Greg Frost says, morning, have a great day, folks. I'm keeping an eye out for leaks. Yeah, trying to do the same. If there is anything, I'll share it. Again, a reminder for our patrons, please let us know on Slack if we get any info. Ryan, by the way, I might have a mystery guest soon. Rhino says, morning, James. Good luck today. I'm punting Sunny Cap. Totally agree with you and Ange. Fans are so damn impatient. He's not even a debate for me at the moment. Honestly, if we lost Wednesday, well, we lost in the 3rd round of Carabao Cup. Okay, fine. More eggs in Europe. Janega77 says, morning, what are your thoughts on Alex Moreno from next game week to afford Saka and Palmer with 3 transfers? I only have 4.4 on defender, either him or Mikalenko. It's worth saying Mikalenko might, if Everton have a bad weekend, he might be 4.3 this time next week. Just bear that in mind. I think that then becomes quite interesting. But I did say on Monday's podcast that I thought game week 6 wildcard as a number would end up on Alex Moreno. Currently, it looks like I've got 666 viewers, so that is the death of my weekend, according to the analytics on YouTube at the moment. Smash a like if you're watching, people. So Alex Moreno, fine. Yeah, fine. Yeah, I quite like it. FPL Guy, do you think Stupinan will start? Could be Kadioglu. I've just got Hinshelwood starting again as it stands. Eddie says, favourite top 3 Spurs players, mine are Ledley, Gaz and Mabsy. Favourite 3? Shit. Ledley, clear by miles. Favourite? Favourite's not necessarily best. I think Musa, man. I think Musa. I loved him. Everyone knows. If you're new around here, how long you got? I'm going to say Musa, you know. It's like you'd turn up, and if he was in the team, you'd fancy you'd win. And if he wasn't, it was like, might as well turn around and go home. What a player. So, I mean, I know he is rated very highly by so many of you, but I think just like in terms of context of worldwide football, like nowhere near rated as good enough as he was. We still haven't replaced him. I've kind of, you can toss a coin Bale Kane after that, I think. It kind of was the same in terms of how you felt about the two players. I know Bell didn't start through the academy at Tottenham, but we bought him when he was so young. He made his debut for us when he was like 17 or something. That it kind of felt like he was one of ours. So, I mean, split them two tough. Probably just about Harry, probably. But Bale was the best player I've seen play for Tottenham. Gareth James says, no question is set for my wildcard to be active at about midday today. Just want to say thanks for the content. It helps keep me sane in some tough times. Good luck and best wishes. Please hit the like. Thank you, Gareth. Have a great weekend, mate. Appreciate it. John Kedwood says, where would Martin Chivers fit into Tottenham's pantheon of strikers? Top 10. Thanks, James. Always enjoy the show. It's very difficult for me to cover because I never saw Martin Chivers play live, right? It's going back to the 1970s. But where would he rank in terms of like all-time Tottenham forwards? I think you got Greaves and Kane at the top now, and I think then arguably Martin Chivers would be third. I would think that's a better question from my dad. But I think Big Chiv would arguably be third on that list maybe. But it's not really for me I can't answer that truly correctly. Yahya says, hello James, I'm wildcard 6 and have 2 free transfers. I have Hall, Muniz, Isak and Kunku, and I would have to play 2 of them or make a transfer, probably Isak to Solanke, or try to save up to 3 FTs after the wildcard thoughts. Right, biggest problems there look to me like Muniz and Kunku, although I don't know if you can like bench Hall. Wildcard 6. I mean, 1, 2. You potentially got 4 players there who might not play. I mean, I'd be moving 1 on from that. I mean, there's too many there not to. I understand what you're saying. I'd be making a move there somewhere. I think I've listed enough players for consideration. I'd leave Hall. It is what it is. I'd be looking at something like Muniz to Vardy, Isak to Solanke, as you've mentioned, or Nkunku, 1 weaker, Mitoma maybe, if it was affordable. But I think on that, Solanke probably sounds better on that, doesn't it? Emma23, morning James, bench 2, please. Moreno, Vardy, Gabriel, have Raya in goal. I'd probably play Vardio out of that, I think. Ziga says, hey James, I've been thinking of benching Haaland for the whole week. I'm a crazy cat of great content. Look, let me define it like this. Play FPL your own way. Nothing is crazy. For me to advise you to do it would be crazy. Motta says, just one big dilemma for me. Start Muniz or Trent. Read the bio, please, mate. Ollie Hagger says, start Ben Brereton, Diaz or Rodgers. Rodgers for me at this stage, yeah. I must have a username. Hi, Jay. Hi. Janega77 says, do you think it's worth starting Semenyo over Havertz at City or Pedro? Currently just first bench, but tempted with no Alisson. Yeah, I'd see the thinking there, but I think I'd stay with your 2 forwards, actually. Noel Brenner says, morning, James. Would you transfer in DCL and Aina for Muniz and Vardio to free up money to go Jota to Foden next week? Have already wildcarded. It's fine to have a principled plan like that in play, but realistically, if Kevin De Bruyne starts again tomorrow and Phil Foden doesn't, are you making that move next week? Then what? So, yeah, I think Foden feels like a difficult one to play. It's not like saying, I'm setting this up to buy Saka next week. You'd be like, okay, yeah, I get that. Foden, I don't know if you can quite do it. In terms of the moves themselves on the face of it, like DCL and having Aina going forward, I have a little preference for Alex Moreno, but it's a little bit more risky. And also, I think Aina's already gone up in price, I think I want to say it. So I'd be preference Moreno at this stage. But those moves are like, they're okay, mate. Ian G. Park, Robinson or Greaves, check the benching dilemmas, please, mate. Josh Telling says, morning, James. Hope all is well your end. Good luck for the game. Smash the like button, people. Thank you. It's about just over 10 minutes to deadline, guys. If you haven't got your question in yet, there's no chance of me getting to you at this stage. I will do my best to get through these. Ludwig says, morning, James. Pretty set on Isak to DCL with my second FT. Might bring Bumo in for Bergval. Would you do it this week to be able to bench one of Havertz, Rodgers, or do it next week? Cheers and good luck tomorrow. I'd probably wait a week just in case you come to the conclusion that you want to do something different next week, like Rodgers to Shardo, just for example. So, yeah, I mean, does Boomer improve it? Yes, he does. Yeah, I would probably wait a week. Super Sam plays says, morning James. Do you think on a wildcard 8 strategy it should put anyone off that we wouldn't have the marquee players from the usual big 6 and instead would own players from teams around mid-table? Yeah, but you won't. You won't. I'm telling you. Just gonna completely go without, yeah? Or you're gonna get there and Foden or De Bruyne or Heung-min Son or I still have Trent, and you're not. You're not just going to go for mid-table players. You're not just going to go Haaland and go, hey, yeah, let's smash in. Jared Bowen, yeah, they've got a good run of fixtures. Oh, Tottenham away this week. You are still going to have coverage from some of the top teams. Manchester United fall into that category. That'd probably be worth attacking. So you know, could I see you landing with like a Dallo, Fernandes, Garnacho on the wild card 8? Yeah, maybe. You will still have some coverage from these teams, mate. If you decided not to and are just going for your, talisman, which is fine, your Boomos, your Bowens, Eze's, all like great assets if that's what you fancy and stuff. Probably not the greatest time for Eze, maybe at that point, maybe. You just need to have an awareness of potentially wanting to move that away because talisman are longer term picks, really. I think your Boomos, your Eze's, your Bowens are investment and leave it a little bit longer. What do you want to do? Jota's back in the team and he's going to play every week because Nunes is injured and stuff. I don't know. At that point, I'd probably still want Jota, for example, right? LH says, no, I missed one out here. Hey, little man. Come. Have fun, wife. Can you say bye, mummy?
Bye, guys.
Bye, mummy. Can you say hello, listeners?
Hello.
Hello, viewers.
Hello.
And can you say, come on, you Spurs?
Come on, you Spurs.
Can I love you. Bye, mummy.
Bye, mummy.
We love you, mummy.
I love you, mummy.
Bye. Mummy's going to a wedding. Have a good day, mummy.
Yes.
Bye. Hey,
Bye.
Look. Can you sing the Tottenham song?
Spurs go marching in. Spurs go marching in. On the beat. In that number, Spurs go marching in.
Mwah! Best little boy in the world. Sorry, I'm combined on daddy duty for the next 10 minutes or so.
Some weird.
What? Can you see you on the telly? Okay, tell you what, good boy. Sit here for daddy. Stay here, please. That's important. Good boy. Super Sam plays says, morning, James. Do you think... Yeah, that makes sense, mate. Just nice 10 minutes for daddy. Good boy. Super Sam plays says, morning, James. Do you think on a wildcard 8 strategy it should... I've done that one. LH says, morning, Jim. Might be already covered, but would you sell Vissa for DCL and start him over João Pedro? Listen, daddy's working, mate. Vissa's got to go, mate. Simple as that. Would I start counting over João Pedro? Don't know. Andy, back up if Pedro don't play. Sit down for me, please, mate. Thank you. Just for 10 minutes. Stay here with daddy, yeah? Good boy. I must have a username. Says, hi, James. Bench 1. Pau Torres, Robinson, Havertz. Probably Robinson. Homegrown FPL. Says, morning, James. Play one of Greaves, Lewis, or Robinson. I will play Isak. Again, Greaves. Frank Seagull, hi, James. Bench Boomo, Rodgers, or João Pedro. Rodgers. Jerry Domiu says, hello, James. If there's early leak that Harry, sit still for daddy, please. Thank you. Good boy. If there's early leak that Jota isn't starting, is hitting him out for someone like Mitoma worth it or not? I already did Muniz to Vardy yesterday. I mean, I don't know, man. Even if you knew he wasn't going to play, he's probably still getting half out at the end for Liverpool at Anfield in a reasonable home fixture. Worth the hit to get rid? Probably not. What do we think, Harry? Probably not. I'm not aware, guys, of any leaks going around at this moment. We are circa 5 minutes. Yes, 5 minutes or so away from deadline. No, not aware of anything at this stage as it stands. Okay. Who's next? Sorry, guys. I'm just trying to keep an eye on news at this stage as well, if there is anything. Jay Barker, Morning James, got one free transfer. Would you transfer out Visser for DCL, play him over Fast? Yeah, if DCL is the one you want, mate, yeah. Gary Halliwell, Morning James, Captain Haaland, Watkins or Palmer. I would have covered this, but good luck. Did I say Jerry? I meant Gary, sorry. Haaland for me, mate. Ragav says, Morning James, have to start one of Timber or Lewis. Which one do you go for? Lewis, clearly, mate. Also, Pedro or Nketiah, who to start? Well, probably got more clarity on Nketiah's minutes, haven't we? That's tough. If you've put Nketiah in, yeah, Nketiah, isn't it? I think. Mr. Steve says, one free transfer. Have Diaz, Jota, Trent. Worried about rotation. Can't afford Isak to Watkins. Also have Pedro. Plan to wildcard next week. Thinking about rolling and captain Haaland. I don't think there's a question there, Steve. So good luck, mate. Miles Thompson says, went rogue and stuck Tielemans in my UCL team and he got me 14. I think they're keeping the faith and putting him in and Trent in for Mikalenko and Odegaard for a 1 week punt before wildcard next week. So you want to go Tielemans and Trent in for Mikalenko and Odegaard for 1 week punts. Tielemans on pens could go off at any point. Probably not quite what it feels like though. Putting Trent in is going to get the thumbs up from me. Yeah, okay, yeah, fine. But again, it goes back to what's the value of those transfers before wildcarding. You know, Tielemans as part of that doesn't scream like, oh yeah, I want to waste the transfer on Tielemans for 1 week. Excuse me, please. KF26 says, hi mate, hope you're well. Harry, Daddy's working. Pedro, Eddie or Rogers on the bench this week, in your opinion? Rogers. Gerrard slipped, we know. Hi James. Who's more overrated, Harry Potter or Luke Skywalker? Skywalker, innit, really, I think. Almost Secco says, I pretty much know your take, but still want to hear it, your comforting voice, to get my blood pressure down. So please, advise me not to do Saka to Salah, -4, and just stick the do Saka to Salah captain, -4, and just stick the band on Watkins. But you've mentioned Salah captain and stick the armband on Watkins. I'm not quite sure which one you're saying to captain there at a Salah Watkins. Again, to repeat what I'd answered for someone earlier in the stream, if it's a case of you're going to get Mo in -4, you want to put the captaincy on him, right? And you're wildcarding like next week, like fine. Like if you're not wildcarding next week, I would not be selling Bukayo Saka right now. Under any circumstances, just do what I've done: bench him, play him, whatever. Unless he gets injured this week, you will want Bukayo Saka next week if you own him now. So that's, unless you're wildcarding next week, mate, it's a no. Ethan Justin says, morning James, do you fancy Cho to start this week? Heard you doubt it on Monday, but surely after the goal he will. You mean the goal that he scored as a substitute? Yeah, look, there's every chance Forest's strategy will be the same. It was also a great assist from Elanga, so does he definitely start as well?
Maybe let's see what this got done. Please keep searching. Combo Panda. See you later.
Patrons, can we get some clarity on the source in the FPL channel that's giving that information? Because I'm not sure what that source is.
No.
So I don't want to share it because I don't know if that's right. Can someone tag me in the FPL channel and say, what is the source there? I don't understand what that is. So I'm quite reluctant to share that information. It's not a bad news, by the way. It's more of a good news. But I'm not sure what that source is. That information feels way more important right now than answering one person's question that I've probably already answered. Like, you know, Lucancio, sorry if I mispronounce it, asking who shall I captain when there's a graphic on screen saying, patrons, if we've got any info on that, share it. Alright, I'm going to jump, see if anyone in here is seeing a similar. So, people are saying in the chat here as well, this is what I've got, is hearing that Jota starts for Liverpool. And I see some Okay, the Anfield Insight is what's being quoted as the source. That's probably pretty good. So that sounds like Jota starts. It doesn't surprise me, by the way, because I don't think Slot has shown any real favouritism to want to play Nunes, and he also spoke about Gakpo being a left winger in the week, basically, and that's where he wanted to play him. Thank you, mate. So doesn't surprise me. What's better source, Steve? That I'm reading that as I don't know what that is. Is that the source better? Like, who is that? So I'm reading it as a better source. Like, that's what I'm saying. I was asking for clarity. I didn't understand that. So, okay, sounds like Jota starting, and that is deadline, guys. That felt more important to kind of get that information clarified rather than continue with the questions at that point. So that's it, done. Harry, question: can Daddy answer some more questions, or do you want Daddy to finish? Come here. Do you want Daddy to answer more questions or Daddy to finish?
Need more coins.
Not more coins, not more questions. More questions.
More coins.
More questions.
More coins.
I think he wants me to finish, which is fair enough. So I'm not going to do any extra questions this week, guys. I think you can probably understand what the reason is behind that. Content I'll just cover off. Main pod game review Monday, Tuesday Clash of Correspondence, Arsenal Leicester with Adam Pritchard and Aaron Lagor. Harry, shush, they can hear too much of your voice, and actually, well, maybe they do prefer to hear you than me. Wednesday, Clayton James show. Thursday, People's Poll, topics be confirmed later in the week. Ask James on Friday be earlier, 12 o'clock-ish, because I'm on duty to pick him up as well. Deadline stream will be next Saturday at the same time. I'll be looking after him through all of that stream. That's fine. If you want to support the show, it's www.patreon.com/planetfpl. Support the show if you want to support the content that we provide, or if you want additional content. Next week's podcast will include Q&A Monday, probably a quiz Tuesday, Tottenham, myself and Suj Wednesday, Money in Football Thursday, Gameweek 6 preview Friday, obviously additional video content at advanced tier as well. Other than that, I'm going to go look after this one. Enjoy your weekend, everybody. I hope your hours are green. Me and Suj will be back on Monday. Ciao for now, everyone. Good luck. Harry, can you say bye? Can you say bye?
Bye.
Bye.